Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Inyomi Onobera. In my last episode, I talked about an autoimmune disease called idiopathic inflammatory myositis, of which I talked about polymyositis, the condition under idiopathic inflammatory myositis, which I've been diagnosed with. On this episode, I'm going to be talking about the symptoms that I experienced when I started experiencing these symptoms, management tips and interventory measures that have been taken to get me into full remission. Now let's get started. So in 2020, when I had my first son, I noticed I started having symptoms. I noticed I started experiencing some difficulty climbing the stairs. I noticed I started having weakness around my ankle, and this is usually basically whenever there is an added pressure or an added weight to my body, like when I'm carrying my baby or carrying the baby bag, or basically even as little as putting on heels. So I knew something was off, and I ran some tests and found out I had typhoid and malaria, the usual typhoid and malaria thing. And it's like a cliche where people think that joint weakness or joint pain is associated with typhoid and malaria. So I started treatment, but after treatment I didn't get better. It got to a point where I started falling down, I started tripping over things, and I just knew something was off. So I went to the hospital and we ran some tests again. And this time around, I found out I was pregnant. Yes, I found out I was pregnant. That just covered the whole symptoms I was experiencing at that time because the doctors just linked the symptoms to pregnancy. And guess what? All through the pregnancy journey, I didn't have any single symptoms. Like I didn't experience any weakness whatsoever. So I bought the idea of probably it could be pregnancy symptoms. Now, shortly after I had my second son, let's say 4 or 5 months after, I noticed these symptoms started reoccurring. And this time, they were even worse than before. Not just my ankle, but my knees, now to my hands, my elbow, and it became very worse. Like I noticed I could no longer back my baby. Anything that involves me taking my hands to the back or carrying the baby to the back and tying with a wrapper, I started having difficulty tying hair scarf. I started having difficulty even carving my brow. Anything that involved suspending the arms up for a while, I started having difficulty getting off bed, and it was becoming like really something to get worried about. Then I linked it to probably lack of physical activity, and I got a personal instructor. We started working out, and I noticed that the basic routines I was even doing before I got married, I could no longer do. I could no longer do my sit ups, I could no longer do my press ups, I could no longer raise my hands up, I could no longer stretch. At that point, I noticed I could no longer raise my hands above my head, like get my hands way up like this. And I knew something was off. I complained to my doctors and they just said, probably this could be, it might just be something playing in your head. It might just be your mind playing mind games with you. Probably you are just too tired. You need to rest. You need to rest. You are stressed, and all of that. So I said, okay, let me go down the path of resting. Probably it's as a result of stress. Now, the more I rested, the more fatigued I was. Like I could sleep literally for like 2 days in a row, and I'll wake up more tired than I was. It was that bad. So I knew something was off. It got so bad that I had difficulty having my bath. When I'm scrubbing, I cannot raise my hand from one point to another. I have to literally drag my hands up. I started having difficulty brushing my teeth. And I was like, no, this is off. So I went to the hospital. I changed hospital this time. I bet a dummy on calcium supplements. For the first few days, I felt a little bit relieved. Then it came back even stronger. This time around, when walking, I just had to feel my legs shake. I started to feel as if my legs want to give way. I started falling down again. And this time it was so bad that each time I had fallen down, I will not be able to get up. So somebody will have to come and lift me up. When I get to a kneeling position or a bending position, I will not be able to lift my body up. At that point, I started feeling very heavy. My arms felt very heavy. My legs felt even heavier. Like even to walk at that point, it was even bad that people will have to help me to climb the stairs. Even getting into the car, I have to raise my two legs up into the car. Even taking my hands to the steering was a problem. Like even trying to cross my legs when sitting down, I have to use both hands to raise the other leg up. And it was really bad. It was really bad. Now, in my next episode, because at this point I'm getting really overwhelmed, because it's bringing back really old memories, and I'm trying so hard to hold myself not to be moved to tears. So I think we'll continue this in my next episode. Trust me, I am fine, and thank God I am restored. That is why I think I'm strong enough to talk about this story right now. In the next episode, I will still continue this story and I will share how help came through for me. So I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.